Welcome. Welcome back into the Blaze Radio, Bill Austin Radio Studios in downtown Phoenix. Welcome to The Future is Female. For the final time of our college careers, I'm saying those words for the very first time in a semester. I'm your host, Gabrielle Ducharme, joined here, as always, for the last 3 years by my legendary co-host, Nicole Pinter. Nicole, how you feeling?
That made it feel a little more real. You know, all day I was saying, I haven't freaked out yet about this being the last semester, so that's good. This moment made it feel a little more real, I guess.
I know. It's a weird reality to think about. Like, I caught myself today thinking, like, the next time they start programming in this studio, I'm not gonna be here, right?
Oh
like,
my God, yeah.
I'm not going to be like an undergraduate student at that point in time, presuming everything goes okay my last semester, which it should. I think like I looked at my schedule actually, and I think I could technically fail like most of the classes that I'm in, all except for like one class, and still like graduate with my degree.
I envy you.
And which is pretty nice to think about. I'm not going to fail all my last classes of my college career. Like, that's just not who I am. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like at this point with this show, I feel like we'll probably still do it in some kind of podcast format, even after college ends, just because we both have so much fun with it. I don't know. I hope that we do. I guess that's maybe like a distant idea in my mind. I hope that we continue it in that capacity. But this environment that we developed it in it's just strange to think about it, I guess, coming to an end for both of us. And I don't mean to freak you out. I don't mean to freak you out about college and all of that. Real life will come eventually. It's not here right now, obviously. I don't know if real life will ever smack me upside the head. I love what I do so much, so hopefully it never smacks me upside the head. What are you most excited for this season, Nicole?
Just doing it one last time, not the fact that we're doing it one last time, but the fact that we're here, we get to hopefully, knock on wood, be in studio the entire semester, and I just love having this space with you to talk sports, anything where I can complain about the Bears, and finally, for like the first time on the show, cheer about the Michigan Wolverines football. Men's basketball, not so much. Although they're a different breed against Maryland, let me tell you. The men are a different breed against Maryland. The women too, apparently. We'll talk about that though. But I just always love coming here to talk about the things we want to talk about, and I always have such a great time doing it. So
yeah,
all of it.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think what I'm like most excited for is like the reprieve that I get each week coming into the studio and chalking it up together. I've made a lot of memories in this place over the last several years. I've made a lot of memories outside of it too because of the nature of being in college in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff that I've done in Blaze Radio is probably the stuff that I'm going to be telling my grandchildren that I did, or that I got to do, or that I got the opportunity to do. So yeah, I think I'm excited, once again, to do the same thing that we always do, to talk the stuff that we want to talk without any barriers or restrictions. In such a male-dominated industry that's dominated by male sports in particular, we're kind of the outliers as a show because we do prioritize like the women's basketball stuff with myself. We prioritize a lot of women's tennis. We prioritize a lot of Olympic sports. Like, both you and I grew up as swimmers. You were way better than I was, but it's such a unique environment, and I'm so excited that we get to do it again. Like, I think we're really lucky that we did find chemistry so easily with one another, and that the show has worked for so long, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know many other shows that are in their like from their infancy to this point that have lasted as long as ours has, except for like something like Heat Check has made it all the way through on Blaze Radio. I don't know what other shows have in the sports department to have made it this far. Like, they literally started second semester freshman year and went all the way through every single semester.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you either. I really couldn't. And I think that's pretty special. And that's not something I'm going to ever take for granted. So, yeah, we're excited for a lot of stuff this semester. We're going to first rip into the wacky wild card weekend. Nicole, your thoughts on the marathon that was the start of the NFL postseason.
Yeah, marathon is probably the best way to put it because you had the Raiders-Bengals game, which was exciting, and they were like, wow, the Bills are really good against the Patriots. And then you're like, okay, the Bucks killed the Eagles. Now I'm kind of not that, that was expected. And then it was, why am I blanking? It was a Nickelodeon game, 49ers-Cowboys. All those we'll get to. And then you finish on this sort of, if you're an Arizona fan, dumpster fire that was the Arizona Cardinals Monday night. Bad. Really bad. Let's start with that. Lost to the Rams 34-11 at SoFi Stadium. Cards end the season in the first round after starting off 8-0. And this is like a Cliff Kingsbury masterclass end of season, right? Where he loses like the last 5. There's a graphic, which I wish I would have thought of to pull up, where at Texas Tech and now here, he's lost like the last 5 of 6, 6 to 7, whatever the number is. Most of the last stretch of games, Cliff Kingsbury as head coach has lost. And that extends here. Kyler Murray looked really bad. 19 of 34, 137 yards, two interceptions, one of which was from his own end zone. That was just, what in the world was that?
I think that was to put him up like 21-0 at the end of like the first quarter or at the beginning of the second quarter. I remember seeing the play.
I mean, the Cardinals were outclassed, outcoached all 3 phases of the game. I mean, I do think the Cardinals are the better team. I think regular season Cardinals looked amazing. I do think they're the better team. Obviously not. They lost, but hear me out. But Sean McVay continues to prove why he's still a very good coach in this league because he gets to playoff time and is like, yeah, I know what you did well regular season. Do it again. I dare you. And without DeAndre Hopkins, the Cardinals really couldn't. Kyler couldn't. He looked scared. No one looked prepared for this moment. Even Cliff said he was like, yeah, they don't look playoff ready. Bro, that's your job. Your job is to get these guys playoff ready. And they didn't look anything like that. J.J. Watt also thought it was embarrassing. I mean, he came back after his shoulder exploded. He said, and I quote, "It was a massive failure from what we were capable of doing to what we showed we can do to today. There's no other way to describe it." The last thing I'll say, it was fun. It's been real. It's been fun. Has it been real fun? I don't know. But I'm sorry to do this to you, Cardinals fan. This one last dagger here. But reigning MVP Mitch Trubisky played better against the Saints in the wildcard round last year. Yeah, that's right. Trubisky was 19 of 29, 199 yards, and 1 touchdown. Should have been 2 if Javon Wims could catch. Should have been 2. But he played Trubisky in Nagy's offense. Took which we'll get to. Nagy's offense to the playoffs twice. Looked better in that game at the very least the first half. He looked like, wow, okay, they could do this. Maybe, but we all knew they couldn't.
Can we just rewind for 1 second? You said reigning N as in like nickel.
Nickelodeon's valuable player.
Most valuable player.
Correct.
Rather than the most valuable player. I just want to clarify that you said N and not M.
Right, one is more coveted than the other. Are you
Yeah,
I'm talking about the MVP.
Yeah.
More coveted.
Yeah, the Nickelodeon most valuable player. Okay, go ahead.
He got the blimp on like the Lombardi stand. I mean, come on, that's like every kid's dream when you watch the Kids' Choice Awards. And he got that. I don't know if he got slimed. I don't know, but yeah, he played better last year against the Saints. Come on, no one looked prepared for that game. It was from like the second it started, the Cardinals just looked scared. All of them. I mean, all things considered, J.J. Watt played pretty well, but the biggest difference for the Rams was Cam Akers. Him being back, everyone should be scared of the Rams because, my God, sports medicine is a scary thing. Cam Akers is a little bit scarier now.
They looked, well, to me, the Cardinals looked like they were on a layover getting ready to go to Mexico for the weekend. The Rams were ready to play football. The Cardinals were on a layover getting ready to go to Cabo San Lucas for their college spring break. If you know, you know, all right? Especially from going from Arizona to the beach. Yeah, it literally looked like they were on a layover. They were probably hungover as you know what. And they had like already taken their vacation before their vacation began. So, and this is inspired by like a photo that I saw today on Twitter. It was of an airplane that said like Cardinals on it. It was like the Cardinals private jet or whatever, or their charter plane that they take. And the person literally said, well, it looks like somebody's ready for vacation. And I thought in my head, yeah, didn't you hear they were on a layover yesterday in Los Angeles, and now that layover's done. They're ready to go to Cancun for the next few weeks.
Yeah, it was bad.
Or Cabo, whichever. Oh God. So many of them you can go to these days. Yeah, it was bad. It was very, very bad. Going back to what you were saying though, Nicole, they're worse than your mediocre at best Bears. Go ahead.
Oh, no, we'll get more into the Bears in a little bit, but I just wanted to point out Mitchell Trubisky, the greatest MVP of all time, played better than Kyler, and I think that's pretty spectacular. I know it went to Dak this year. It's like a losing quarterback thing, I guess. But yeah. Trubisky played better.
The greatest MVP of all time.
Correct.
I'm going to say this is an MVP moment because we haven't even gotten to, this is a most valuable player moment because we haven't even gotten to Bears Corner yet, and Nicole still found a way to relate it back to the Chicago Bears.
And in a positive light too, might I add.
Yeah.
But moving on, so we'll get there. The Bengals snapped a 31-year drought without a playoff win on Saturday after beating the Raiders 29-16. The Detroit Lions now own the longest playoff drought at 30 years since their last playoff win, which was against Dallas at 38-6 in 1992. The Bengals will look ahead to face the Tennessee Titans in Nashville. The top-seeded Tennessee Titans, mind you, who might have Derrick Henry back, question mark. The Bengals, Joe Burrow looked great. I mean, when you look at Joe Burrow versus Kyler Murray, right? One's knee was not there last year. One did not have an ACL last year, and one did. And he looked spectacular. I mean, this personally, I'm rooting for the Bengals. Listen, I put money on the Bills-Packers Super Bowl, but if the Bengals ruin that for me, fine by me. And then obviously, any NFC team can ruin that for me. I don't really care. But like, if the Bengals ruin part of that bet for me, fine by me, because I really like this team, and they looked great. And say what you want about officiating, but like, at the end of the day, they got that touchdown call right. The whistle thing, I wasn't watching it live, but I mean, officiating's a whole other topic with the NFL this past weekend. It's been bad. It's been really bad.
You could make it you could dedicate an entire show to it.
Yeah, we could probably talk about it for the next half hour if we wanted to, but we won't. But yeah, I really like this Bengals team.
I'm gonna say shout out to Joe Burrow, or should I say Burrow, from LSU, from when he played down in the Bayou. He looked phenomenal. I haven't seen Burrow look that good since he was at LSU. He played very well this season too. A lot of people are saying he should be an MVP candidate. Not an MVP, a most valuable player.
He wasn't in the Nickelodeon game.
Okay. He was not in the Nickelodeon game, so he's going to have to settle for second best.
It's too bad.
But, I mean, God, talk about a comeback. A comeback from injury, a comeback from rocky rookie season, like pandemic. Like, basically from the moment he won the national title until this point has been a pandemic. And that's how he got to start his NFL career, and he just won his first playoff game. Doing pretty good.
Bengals fans couldn't even send a text the last time the Bengals won the Super Bowl. And now people have only texted about Joe Burrow's playoff wins because he hasn't lost in the playoffs yet. It's spectacular. And I think I was one of many who were like, why wouldn't the Bengals draft an offensive lineman? That's what you need. That's why Burrow tore his ACL. His knee was not there last year. But then Jamar Chase is like really good. And now I kind of want the Bears to do something similar, but like we're not the Bengals, which I can't believe I just said out loud. That's a real sentence I said. But yeah, I mean, I was wrong. Oh, I know a lot of people were wrong. Jamar Chase, if he's not Offensive Rookie of the Year, what are we doing? He is the obvious Offensive Rookie of the Year.
It's so abundantly obvious. It's
so good.
Where did he go to school?
LSU. It's at LSU. See, this is when I say what I want the Bears to do. I want the Bears to go out and draft, preferably Chris Olave, Ohio State wide receiver, because he's my favorite.
But from that school? You want them to...
Give me that Ohio State connection. You know what? It's fine. They can't hurt me. They're not in scarlet and gray anymore. 42-27 anyway. But, like, they can't hurt me anymore. And draft any Ohio State wide receiver. I don't care. I'll talk about the Bears coaching search a little bit more, too. And the rumors there, because that's a nightmare. But, in some ways. But, yeah. Who day?
Wow.
Day. How about the best game of the weekend, though? The 49ers, in more ways than one, 49ers beat the Cowboys 23-17 in what I call a wildly weird game. Also broadcasted on Nickelodeon. You got the slime monster, SpongeBob and Patrick smiling every time you kicked a field goal. Obviously, this is how I watched the game, because I'm a 12-year-old.
No, my favorite was the kid broadcaster at the end.
Young Dylan, yes, he's gonna be a star. I love him.
He's awesome. He was on the Ellen show, I think, a few years ago, too.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, that's
That
so
would make
dope.
sense.
Good for him. That was my favorite part of the game. Are you kidding me?
Ian Eagle, one of them.
Ian Eagle?
Ian Eagle, thank you. Nate Burleson did a great job. I mean, they all did a great job. Like, this is what's getting some kids into NFL, and that is awesome. And I want them to have a bowl game next year for college football. I want them to have a March Madness game. Let's do it. Give me young Sheldon talking about why that block wasn't clean or why that was a flagrant foul. Give it to me.
Give me more. Give me more. I want that song to play.
It'd actually be hilarious in the NBA if we did that too, like a playoff game broadcasted on Nickelodeon.
Oh, it'd be hysterical.
That's appointment. They're all appointment TV. But anyway, what did you think of this game?
Was it the best game of the weekend? Yeah, probably. Did Dak disappoint, or is Dallas just such a tough city to play in that it's always Super Bowl or bust, whether or not you're actually good enough to get to the Super Bowl? Is Dak actually a disappointment, or is he a decent player, but your expectations are just too high for him? I personally think the expectations are too high. You want him to be the next Russell Wilson. You want him to be the next Tom Brady, win 6 Super Bowls. Like, that just doesn't happen every day. So considering that he came back from the injury he did, came back from the busted foot, the busted ankle, the everything that he went through, got his contract, like, all of it, he stayed on his feet all season, didn't get re-injured, that's a win to me. I don't think he disappointed at all. I think fans just had too many expectations.
And I don't even think, part of this loss is on Dak, obviously, but he's like the furthest thing from the problem. Cowboys fans, I'm sorry, but also not sorry that Mike McCarthy is your head coach. Let's just... Like, it's a safe hire when it was. It's not a bad hire. It's not the worst hire you could ever make. But he only won 1 Super Bowl between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. 2 Hall of Famers. 1 to be Hall of Famer. But, like, come on. This is another team that looked unprepared and with a more experienced head coach. They were outplayed almost from the get-go. They didn't deserve to win that game if they somehow did. Also know the rules. Like, it looks like they've never practiced. Go to Dan Orlovsky's Twitter, because he explained what happened the last, 30-second gaffe. The best. He's the best. I love him. Because you got to know the rules. Your team has to be prepared for moments like this, and they did not look prepared. And that's on coaching. And also, these are professionals. It's on at this level, it's on the players too, a little bit, not knowing the rules. There has never been a down in the history of football where the official has not touched the ball first. I know that official was far behind. It's a little bit of everyone's fault here too, but he was hustling. My man was hustling to get that ball down. Dak first of all, Dak got run over, but Dak handed the ball to his center. No, you got to do this as Dan said, Larry Fitzgerald style. Go hand it to the official so he can put it down. By the way, they put it a yard in front of where it actually was, if you look at where the officials are standing. Yeah. The sideline officials. And he should have gone down sooner.
He had to react quicker, basically. Yeah. He had to react quicker. You can't blame the referees for that.
It wasn't necessarily the worst play call ever, but when you have no timeouts, 14 seconds, you're throwing for the sidelines. Does it set up for a better final play chance? Absolutely. But, like, you're taking that risk.
Yeah, you're totally taking that risk. I mean, because unlike that final play of the game, he just kind of took off running initially, right? He took off running, and then there was only, 1 second left on the clock. There's nothing more you can do at that point. It's 1 second. You're not in field goal range. You're not in any range whatsoever. You're down by, a touchdown. It wasn't bad refereeing, in my opinion. It wasn't bad officiating. It wasn't only bad officiating, I should say. You just weren't ready for the moment. You just, you didn't prepare for that particular moment in practice. I don't know why you don't. I don't know if you just blame that on the coach then? Do you just blame that on Mike McCarthy?
Yeah, a coaching staff as a whole. And it's, the other great point that Dan Orlovsky brought up that I hadn't thought of, and probably a lot of people who have never, a lot of people probably hadn't thought of this either, but with 3 seconds to go, a spike is going to take 2 seconds off, right? So at that point, you're calling for everybody to go. Hail Mary. You're not spiking it. You're not downing it. Just everyone go. There's just the level of awareness, of game awareness, just wasn't there on anybody's part. I don't want to single out Dak. There was no hustle from the guys to get to the line. It was everybody. Dak should have handed the ball to the official, or the offensive lineman should have handed the ball to the official. No one was rushing to get to the line. It was just a mess. It was a mess. And it was a game the Cowboys didn't deserve to win anyway, so. Yeah. Oh, Dallas.
Disappointing NFL fans' hearts for decades now.
Yeah. I have no sympathy. Oh.
I don't really either. I'm not a fan
Stephen
of
A.
Jerry
came
Jones.
back from having COVID for 2-3 weeks on First Take yesterday morning. He was fantastic when it came to the Cowboys. Say what you want about him. Him making fun of the Cowboys is top tier stuff.
Does it rank above or below him making fun of the Los Angeles Lakers for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Wow. The Lakers stuff was pretty elite. But he had the brand is LeBron's his guy. His brand is making fun of the Cowboys. So I'll give you this. The Cowboys. But man, when it was the Lakers moment to be had, it was a fantastic one, let me tell you. Finishing off NFL wildcard weekend at least. The Bills and Bucks dominate the Patriots and Eagles respectively. Talk about another quarterback showing out, Josh Allen. Oh my God. It was the best game of his life.
I saw Catherine Fitzgerald tweet this during the game because I was watching it, from my apartment on Saturday afternoon. It was 65 degrees out, right? And she was like, it's 4 degrees with a -6 wind chill. Ugh. I'm cold. Yeah. It was, to do that in that kind of weather, I would have said that 65 was too cold for me to do anything in. -6.
West Coaster.
You guys couldn't see, but I just made a face at her. I don't even think she could see. I'm wearing a mask right now.
I saw the eyes. The eyes were enough. But, yeah, Bills will travel to Kansas City to face the Chiefs. Chiefs who knocked off the Steelers. That's a game that's almost not worth talking about. Because you knew how it was going to go. Bills knocked off the Chiefs in Kansas City early in the season, or week 4. And the Bucks will play host to the Rams. Gabby, who do you like coming out of this weekend the most of what you saw? Out of this weekend, so excluding the Packers and Titans.
Excluding Packers and Titans? The Chiefs and Bills is the one that... Oh, man. Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes.
It's going to be a great game.
Oh, it's going to be such a good game. I think I'm going to go with Josh Allen and the Bills for that one. Just because of how insane it is. The conditions that they played under. and like how they dominated, -6-degree weather. How many passing touchdowns did Allen have this weekend?
Off the top of my head, I don't even know. But
It was a lot. I think it was like 4 or 5 passing touchdowns.
I want to say it was
this weekend.
5.
Yeah. Like just to do it in that condition and though under those conditions, I'm sorry, you're going to Kansas City. It's probably going to be like 20 there. It's going to feel like a nice spring day to you. Yeah, I'll take the Bills on that one. And then the Bucks versus the Rams this weekend. I know it's on the road, and I know it's Tom Brady. So I will probably deeply regret this decision 1 week from today. But I'm going to go with the Rams. And here's why. The Rams showed me last night that they have an on switch. No matter what you see in the regular season, it doesn't matter quite as much. It's like the Miami Heat with LeBron James a few years ago. They just have an on switch, and they flipped it on last night and wiped Arizona off the map. Arizona looked hungover, and I don't think it was as much Arizona's fault as it was the Rams just being ready and coming to play. Good luck to the Patriots when Aaron Donald is on the other side of the ball. Sorry, not to the Patriots. Good luck to the Buccaneers.
Brady, close enough.
Yeah, Brady. My brain, Brady. Good luck to Brady then. Yeah, I think the Rams are going to do it. I think I'll go Rams, and I'll go Bills this weekend. What about you, Nicole?
If the Bills play anything like they did Saturday night, I don't know who beats them. Genuine, I don't know who in the NFL, not just AFC. I also like the Bills over the Chiefs. They take a little while to get going, and they have all season. The Bills take advantage of that. They're golden. If they go up 21, which the Chiefs like to go down by in some of these games, I don't see the Bills as a team who lets them back in. And Brady just doesn't lose in the postseason. It's hard for me to see him lose a divisional round game. I could see, depending on the NFC Championship matchup, maybe, because it's just so hard for a team to repeat, and with all their injuries, we're seeing why. It'll be close. It'll be tight, but Brady always finds a way to get it done. The team I'm most interested in coming out of this weekend is the 49ers, though. I think that matchup for the Packers is scarier than the Cowboys matchup, because if Jimmy G is, which we don't know if he's playing, by the way, Jimmy G is playing, and he plays just almost like he did against Dallas up until the last, quarter. And they utilize Deebo Samuel. I mean, they're a scary contender, I think. I don't think they're a team necessarily anyone wants to see at the moment. But I'm not saying they win. I'm just saying they're a team to certainly watch out for. And then I like the Bengals. So, yeah, it was quite the super wild card weekend, if you will.
I know. I want the Bengals to win, too. I want to see Joe Burrow go far.
Yeah.
I really want to see Joe Burrow go far. I mean, and with that, is it too early for us to guess who will come out on top?
Win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Who you got?
I'll take the Buffalo Bills. Well, I'm not betting against Josh Allen. -6. You had me at -6.
I think I'm leaning that way too. Yeah. Like I said, the bet I put at the beginning of the season was Bills-Packers. And I'm going to see it through. I still think that's the Super Bowl matchup. That was a matchup after week 1, by the way, where both teams lost. Everyone was like, "Are you sure about that bet?" And I'm like, I am damn sure about that bet, let me tell you. And it's looking pretty good right now. I'm not making millions off of this, but winning money is fun.
How much would you make? Do you know?
I don't bet a lot. I bet $2 to win $36. So,
that's pretty good. It's a tank of gas.
Yeah. Almost.
Yeah, I was about to say with prices right now. That would be a tank of gas in my car 6 months ago, a year ago maybe. Not right now.
Exactly. But, yeah, I really like the Bills too. Do you know what time it is, Gabby? Do you know what time it is?
Don't fight it. It's coming right back at you. Yes.
Nice.
I quoted The Greatest Showman there. Because The Future is Female is coming right back at you with a fan favorite on this show. Kind of everybody's favorite except for the person who hosts it sometimes. Depends on how her team does that week. It's Bears
therapy.
Corner.
It's therapy.
It's Bears Corner. Her therapist is all of Blaze Radio. So Blaze Radio, get ready to listen.
Welcome. Nagy and Pace have been fired. You guys, I'm going to step away from the mic and take off my headphones. I'm free. Oh my God, I'm free. I knew Nagy was gone, all right? This was expected. But Pace being fired. Oh my goodness, yes. There are so many. Pace defenders are a different breed, let me tell you. Because they're like, well, he drafts so great in the 4th and 5th round. To that point, I agree. But are those the rounds that are going to... Okay, maybe sometimes. I know, bad faith argument, Brady's a 6th-round pick, whatever. But, like... he's gone! He's gone! He has drafted horrifically in the 1st and 2nd rounds. He's mid in the 3rd, and then the rest on. He's not bad. But...
You have no words. We have dead air right now because you don't even know what to say. You're so excited.
I'm kind of speechless. Oh my God. Oh, I'm free at last. There's no need for Nagy's offense anymore. I never have to see it again. I never have to experience it again. I never have to watch Pace make a horrible draft pick. So the search for a new coach and GM begins. Before I get into this Athletic article, because this is the crux of what I want to talk about today. Bears are looking to hire a GM before a coach, which feels like a good idea.
Yeah, that seems logical, yes. Considering the GM hires the coach, correct?
Right. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, man, this Athletic article is nuts. Anybody but Leslie Frazier, I beg. There aren't many steps back from Matt Nagy in this league. Leslie Frazier is one of them. Current Bills DC. Played for the Bears back in the day. Friend of the program type of deal. Please no. Man, that's such a horrendous step back. We don't need that. Hire an offensive mind as head coach, I beg. I know Bears fans will complain about this in new and different ways. Because, well, we just had an offensive-minded head coach. You know, that's like... That clearly doesn't work. If we want to see Justin Fields develop, we're going to need an offensive-minded head coach. I really like Brian Flores. His firing is... I don't understand. But I would love him as DC. Vic Fangio's available, though, too. Get Vic Fangio's DC. Let's just run it back. Because Sean Desai is not it. I really like him, but he's not it. Sorry. I don't want to see Todd Bowles. Brian Leftwich is a really interesting one who I personally wouldn't mind. It's just, it feels like taking a chance. And if he doesn't succeed, man, that'd be really hard to not see Brian Leftwich succeed as head coach as the Bears. Because I think some guys are just suited better for offense and defensive coordinator and not head coach. Because it's completely different, right? Todd Bowles, we've known, is one of those people. Brian Flores has proved he can be a head coach, and he was linebackers coach. I do think Brian Leftwich deserves a chance somewhere. I just don't know if I have the wherewithal to see it through with the Bears. But I wouldn't hate it. I definitely wouldn't hate it. Brian DeBoll, though, is the name to watch. The Bills' offensive coordinator put on a show Saturday night. That great interview. He interviewed Sunday. Great interview before the interview. I think he'd be great.
Were you in the room when he interviewed for the job? Or?
No, I'm saying like his Saturday night game.
Oh,
was a great interview before
interview.
No, like the game itself, like the Bills offense itself. Saturday night is a great interview before the actual interview.
He put on a great show.
Correct. He's climbed to the top of the list, I think, for most people. I've turned the corner a little bit on Sean Payton. I know Bears fans really want him. I'm hesitant, but I've turned the corner a little bit. I could see it. And the name everyone's saying, Jim Harbaugh, which, you know, if he's going to become Bears head coach, I want to say I tweeted this out like about this time last year. And I didn't see it happening like this after Harbaugh won a Big Ten championship. That's not how I saw this happening. That's not how I saw this happening at all. I'm not going to go into the Jim Harbaugh rumors. I'm not even going to do that. But if he were to become Bears head coach, I'd be conflicted, but I'd also be happy in a weird way. It'd be interesting.
Which one would you rather see win more?
my Michigan loyalty comes before anything else, even the Bears. If we're putting my loyalties, it's Michigan football primarily at the top, basketball, athletics, and then the Bears, and then everybody else kind of falls after that, right?
All right.
So my Michigan loyalty comes first. So obviously I'd love to see him stay. That's why it'd be conflicting. But yeah, so that search begins. I think they interviewed Todd Bowles this weekend. They're also going to interview Dan Quinn, which for the love of God, please don't hire Dan Quinn.
Are there any coaches out there outside of like Harbaugh that you would be okay with them hiring, and like the Bills offensive coordinator?
That's a great question for Bears Twitter, because it really doesn't seem like it. Because anytime you hear Bears fans talk about Bears head coach, there is no right candidate. And Bears fans just need to understand there is no perfect candidate. There isn't one.
I was about to say, like, there's always going to be something wrong with these coaches. How about this? How about they interview someone who's not white, right? Because there's only one African-American head coach in all of NFL football right now.
They are interviewing Todd Bowles. They interviewed Brian Flores. And Brian Leftwich, I think, is getting an interview. His name keeps popping up. That's 3. But I totally agree with you, because I do think the fact that there's only one black head coach in the NFL is appalling. It's horrible. And we're not even necessarily the right people to talk about this. But
I know, that's true.
Like, come on. That's a larger conversation. But yes, I sincerely, I would not hate the Brian Leftwich hire. Brian DeBoer was my top guy, and then Jim Harbaugh's conflicting. And that's kind of where I stand with that. All else, just bring Vic Fangio back as DC. and by the way, Harbaugh and Fangio, they were that 49ers tandem when they went to the Super Bowl. I'm just putting that out there. But above all else, just bring Fangio back as DC, and I think we can run it back. But hire an offensive-minded coach, I beg, and a good GM. Like a good one. Anyway, let's get to this Athletic article. I'll run through it pretty quickly. Oh boy, it's not good. If you've read through some of my quotes, Gabby. This is by the Athletic.
It's bad. Oh, it's bad.
It's basically, it all starts with the McCaskies. I'm just going to run through these quotes, talk about them a little bit, and then we're going to move on because we are running out of time. Quote, "Nobody gets a clean slate. Nobody gets to build their own program," said former long snapper Patrick Mannelly, the longest tenured player in Bears franchise history. "It feels like everybody kind of has had one handcuff on whenever they got hired." Which, yeah, not good. I don't have many words for these because it's just kind of appalling. Quote, "It's an endless cycle of inheriting the previous regime's trash," a former team employee said. Yep, I think that's the best way to describe it. And it's about to happen again. Woohoo. And by the way, the Bears are in cap hell. I can't even deal with it on Madden NFL 22. That's how hard the Bears are in cap hell right now. Is that I can't even. I have cut like 15 guys, and I'm still not within the cap space to sign any free agents. That's how bad it is. When I can't even make it work in Madden, I don't know how the next GM is going to do it. That is part of inheriting the last regime's trash. And this is in terms of when the Bears first hired Mark Trestman. When Bruce Arians was a candidate, the one that just won a Super Bowl. Quote, "He thought he had it," said Jake Arians, his father's advisor. Quote, "He was excited about coaching Jay Cutler. With no risk it, no biscuit, he thought Jay could have had some monster years. He had camaraderie with Phil Emery, who was the one making these decisions.
Right.
They saw things similarly, had the same philosophies. But he wasn't," this sentence is hilarious, "but he wasn't Montreal Alouettes head coach Mark Trestman. And according to a team source, Phil was driven for Trestman." And wow, so many things in Bears history make sense when you read that sentence.
What are the Montreal Alouettes?
That's CFL. He was a great CFL coach. And then he came and somehow not somehow, but it was bad.
They hired a CFL coach?
They tried. When Bruce Arians was, I can't.
When Bruce Arians was an option?
This article is very hard to read.
NFL experience Bruce Arians? Super Bowl champion Bruce Arians?
Yeah, the one who's worked with Ben Roethlisberger and Andrew Luck. Yeah, that one? Yeah.
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 All right.
I'm almost done. It gets better. To some, another quote from the article. To some, though, it was evident. I'm moving ahead in the timeline, by the way. To some, though, it was evident that things weren't working out with the quarterback and head coach. Quote, Mitch never checked the boxes for Nagy from day one, said one source. I could have told you that. But seeing it written out is something entirely different. This one is just bad on all fronts. After the 2019 season concluded, Trubisky prepared to meet with Nagy. They needed to have a conversation. How were they going to make this work? The quarterback prepared notes for the meeting. Nagy, though, didn't make it. Quote, he no-showed him, a source said. Trubisky left his notes behind. That is terrible. What? Not checking the boxes from day one, like, fine, I get it. But he didn't even, like, try to make it work to me. I'm not saying Trubisky would have been some magical, amazing Patrick Mahomes type quarterback, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. So, some of his throws were just hard to watch, his overthrows. But Nagy never gave him a chance to me, and he gave up on him entirely too quickly. No, he's not the quarterback of the future. I'm very happy with Justin Fields, but it's just a very frustrating situation that Bears fans had to sit through. This was from the press conference after the firings of Nagy and Pace. Quote, well, I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator, McCaskey said. The owner of the football team, by the way.
I was about to ask, is that the owner of the Bears?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one who came to Cronkite our freshman year, by the way, and I thanked for Khalil Mack. I take that thanks back. Actually, no. Still thank you for Khalil Mack, but I would have a much different conversation. If he came like tomorrow, I'd have a much different conversation with him.
Wait,
I wouldn't hold back.
The owner of the team came to Cronkite our freshman year. Did he come for like Must See Monday?
No, because it was the NFL always has the owners meeting in Phoenix.
Oh.
And so they got him to come. This is the end of that quote, and then I'm almost done, I promise. Quote, as a fan, what I see is a dynamic player with a lot of potential, a lot of ability, a lot of heart, and a strong work ethic. And that was a question about Justin Fields. I'm just a fan, I'm not a football evaluator, I know he's not, like, directly in these decisions for GM. Like, it's not him, but, like, you're the owner of the team, man. What are you doing? If Jerry Jones came out and said that about Dak, or when they first drafted him, do you know how people would be all over Jerry Jones for that? Like, he would not see the light of day from that quote ever. And George McCaskey shouldn't either, because this is horrible. Quote, it all starts with the McCaskeys, a team source said. It starts with George. And nothing changes until George McCaskey is gone. Nothing fundamentally changes until George McCaskey is gone.
But that involves a very, very rich family selling a very, very rich piece of, like, a rich entity that they currently own that is probably making them a lot of money. Like, at the end of the day, it's all about the money when it comes to these owners and these families and
oh, absolutely. I'm not
business
saying
partners. That at all. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I know it starts at the top with the owner, and unfortunately that's probably the one piece of the puzzle that isn't going to move anytime soon.
You want to know another funny part from this article, too? Was that, and then I swear I'm done, was that McCaskey said he talked to the board about how he was doing, and the board said he was doing great. You know who the board is? His family, his mom, Virginia, whom I love, but because she's not the one making the decisions, but, like, she's got to be close to seeing the light. But all due respect, his family told him he was doing a good job, so he can keep doing his job. Obviously, like, it's again, sorry for the free at last. That was very bad taste. I'm sitting here feeling horrible about that. But nothing truly. I'm free from Nagy and Pace, but nothing fundamentally changes with McCaskey still there. And that's another edition of Bears Corner. That I'm sorry took a little bit longer than I anticipated, but oh boy, there's always something, Gabby. There's always something.
Apparently the something this week is terrible ownership, the one thing that you really can't move unless you have to try and force the person's hand out, which means they had to do something horribly wrong, which isn't uncommon in professional sports. It's what happens when millionaires fight with billionaires, that they're profiting, they're making that billionaire and millionaire money on the backs of a predominantly African-American athlete-led league. Welcome to modern-day professional sports.
Sadly.
A lot happening in Bears Corner. We're going to stay up to date on that as the weeks go by. Hopefully there is a new GM and coach in the near future. And hopefully Nicole isn't quite as conflicted in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
We're going to move on, though, to WNBA free agency and coaching moves. WNBA Roundup, it's one of my favorite segments on this show. The Phoenix Mercury let go of head coach Sandy Brondello after 3 WNBA championships and a WNBA finals run most recently in 2021. They basically decided to part ways. They still haven't hired a head coach. It's been over a month. It's been 6 weeks now since they let her go. She got released on December 6th. It's now January 18th. And free agency is now underway in the WNBA. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But not having a head coach when you're going through WNBA free agency is very, very difficult. They're trying to re-sign a couple of players. They're trying to re-sign Kia Nurse. They're trying to sign an extension with Brittany Griner. They're trying to make moves, but it's going to be very hard to do that unless they hire a head coach. Becky Hammon was actually rumored to be in the running for the Phoenix Mercury job, but she ended up, of course, taking the Las Vegas Aces job, which, speaking of Becky Hammon, they discussed the hiring of Becky Hammon to the Las Vegas Aces on the Slate podcast Hang Up and Listen just a few days ago, just about a week ago now. They had Michelle Vopel of ESPN on the podcast. So Vopel gets on and they ask her, they're like, why didn't she wait? Why didn't she hold out for an NBA team? And Vopel said, this is a bit of paraphrasing, but Vopel said, Becky was ready to have a full-time job. She's 45 and didn't want to wait for the opportunity, so she created it herself. She was ready to run a basketball team. She was ready to be the head honcho of the franchise. And she's not going to a bad team either. She's going to the Las Vegas Aces, where they have one of the most recent WNBA MVPs on their team. Asia Wilson, she's in her prime. They have Kelsey Plum, one of the best NCAA basketball players of all time, fully healed from a torn Achilles tendon. Right? They have Liz Cambage, who's a free agent this year. We don't know whether or not she's actually going to resign with them, but she is a free agent as of right now. They have one of the most dynamic starting fives in the entire world of basketball. Multiple Olympic gold medalists on that team. By no means do I think it's Hammon taking a step back. If anything, it's Hammon taking a step forward in her career. Vopel said it on this podcast. She's 45 years old. She's not getting any younger. It's time. If she's going to commit to becoming a head coach, now is the opportunity for her to take it. And it's not her fault that the NBA couldn't see that. It's by no means her fault that the NBA couldn't see that. Nicole, your thoughts on the coaching situation in the WNBA?
I agree absolutely with everything you said about Becky Hammon. Well earned, and yeah, the Aces are scary. Let me tell you, they already were, and now you have Becky Hammon as head coach. Oh, they're scary. Just well earned. Yeah, it is all I can say, and I'm so glad she's getting the opportunity that she is. And yeah.
She's going to be like the highest paid WNBA head coach in history.
As she should.
I think the contract is rumored. This is per a source that I saw on Twitter. Like it's open. It's not, it's not like I'm an insider or anything. But they were saying she could make upwards of about $700,000 a season.
Oh my God.
Which, now let's be honest with you. Let's see what like Frank Vogel's contract is or let's see what Chauncey Billups' contract is. With the so Chauncey Billups with the Portland Trailblazers, that was the job that Hammond was essentially the runner-up for. He's making $2 million a year. This is just according to like a Google search. Frank Vogel's contract is probably much higher than that even. Contract salary. Yeah, it's estimated that Frank Vogel makes around $4 million a year. So, once again, still significantly lower than it should be, considering that Becky Hammon is probably a better basketball coach than both of them. Yes, I know I'm throwing the Lakers under the bus there. I'm well aware of that. but you get the point. It was time. She was ready. Speaking of one of her best players, she's technically not her player at the moment. She's a free agent. Lots of free agency moves that could possibly be made. Names like Nia Coffey from the LA Sparks, Liz Cambage from the Las Vegas Aces, gold medalist and WNBA champion from Nicole's Chicago Sky, Diamond DeShields, Sylvia Fowles, Jisoo Park from the Las Vegas Aces. These are all big names that are going to deserve to get paid. Nia Coffey is ready to get paid. Liz Cambage, yeah, she's going to want to get her bag as well. It's been argued that Cambage has kind of been in the background of the Aces for the last few years just because of the nature of the team she plays on. She plays with the WNBA MVP. That's not her fault, but unfortunately that's what happens. So it's going to be interesting to see how free agency dials down. Really quickly, I'm going to go into women's college basketball now. Our very own Arizona State women's basketball team, they haven't played a game since December 30th, 2021. It's a while. COVID protocols within their team, within other Pac-12 teams, so they've had like their last 6 games postponed. They're slated to play this weekend, though, so we'll see if that actually happens. UConn is crumbling without Paige Beckers. Nicole, do the Huskies rely too much on their sophomore star?
Yes. And I think some of that's coaching, and we talked about this earlier, too. Some of that is the girls on the team. Like, you, scholarship or not, which most of them are, in some form, but, you were playing on UConn women's basketball team for Gino Auriemma. You can take that shot because even when Paige Beckers is on the court, they're trying to get the ball to her for her to make the play. Like, I don't know if that's confidence within the woman from Gino not doing that, and there's issues with Gino too. But yeah, they rely too much on Paige Beckers, who's amazing, but this can still be a good team, and they got run down by Oregon, who is just men's and women's teams are on a tear lately. But yeah, they all do.
Yeah. UConn's got work to do. Michigan women's basketball doesn't. Specifically, Woo. Naz Hillman. She's the best player in the country. 21, 5 rebounds, 6 assists per game.
I might be biased, but yes, and she has been, I think. Michigan, this is their second top 10 win. They beat Baylor, now Maryland, another big win in Ohio State earlier around Christmas. Maddie Nolan, though, I also want to give a shout out to, scored 21 points, all on 3-pointers on Sunday in their win over number 8 Maryland, 69-49. This team is incredible. They've hit their stride. They were a little shaky at times. They've hit their stride. They're here. Go Blue.
Go Blue. I'd argue the one player in the country ahead of her is Caitlin Clark of Iowa State.
Yeah.
Or of Iowa. Oregon defeated top 10 Arizona at home in overtime, 68-66. One of the best games of the year. Niara Sabally, which is Satu Sabaly's little sister, had 20 points and 13 boards. And then Sedona Prince, yes, the famous Sedona Prince from TikTok,
yes,
had 16 points and 5 rebounds. I feel like sometimes people forget how good she is at basketball, that she's probably going to end up in the WNBA pretty soon here. But yeah, super exciting in the Pac-12. Once again, Pac-12 women's basketball, when it's actually able to be played right now, it's super fun to watch.
Back the pack.
Back the pack. And I'm going to finish off tonight with my future fantasy. Today, Malika Andrews hosted her younger sister Kendra Andrews on her very first day at ESPN. Malika is the host of NBA Today. It's a show that it's a daily show just all about men's basketball on ESPN at 12 o'clock every day. Kendra Andrews just signed her contract with ESPN within the last few days. We need to see more of that. More women of color appearing as broadcasters on ESPN, especially on ESPN. After the history that they've had, I'm not saying that it is by no means on Kendra and Malika Andrews to break that mold or to shatter any ceilings. That's not their job. But ESPN has an obligation to their people to continue pushing the envelope like that and recognizing talent, specifically recognizing it in people of color, in women of color, because it was a very beautiful thing to see today on the television, to see this sister duo One person tweeted Black Girl Magic on her television, and she like posted a photo of it. Very well deserved by Kendra Andrews, and I'd just like to continue seeing more of it.
Couldn't agree more.
Anything else for this week, Nicole?
I don't think so. But I did love seeing that. I didn't see it live, but seeing it was awesome. And very well deserved for both.
That's a great thing to see. They're only in their mid-20s, too, so we're going to be seeing both of them for a very long time. Until next time, for Nicole Pinter, I'm Gabby Ducharme. We will see you all next Tuesday, same place, same time. We are The Future is Female, and this is Blaze Radio.